Oh, I need to do some codex. One codex. One codex to finish up. But it was to, what was it? Kill one wing and oh yeah, legs. Legs and wings. Do with that one. So does that indicate there are no more in this area then? Maybe I can. Pick that single piece. I'm gonna try and get it around here. More concerned about this part. Can't reach all the way over there.
Can't stretch. I've got you.
Okay, so I can't go that way. I'm just wondering if this indicates that there is no arc in this area then. Because it doesn't apparently go anywhere. See if we go to what should we say? Lower. think it just doesn't track anything, I think, so you're only just gonna have to run around. Seems like. I just want to test to go into different places, see if anything tracks. There was orcs inside a cave up there. Anywhere around the enclave. I'm wondering what the... There should be something. Oh, no. There could be some. Bastion.
Another thingy.
It was Brenning, right? I need to destroy the ice shards in its body and head. Then I need to somehow use fire on its mane. Get it off. Some arcs. So,
Another Tepid arc.
But it had to be these inactive ones, not the actually active ones to be able to.
Bryn, Sarah and I have been digging into the devices you recovered, and we've developed a working theory.
We'll test it against the ones you found in the field.
Okay, let's try this one. No, what the?
Can't I
Oh, come on, game. What the hell? That was bullshit. BS. And comical at the same time. What the heck did you see? He jumped at us and stunned itself, okay? What? Oh, yeah, we got it.
That frost strand will be useful.
Pieces here, came off. Back home. Deliver. First we do the wave strand. Oh, I think I know what I need to do for that place now. We need to make a bridge from our place first, and then go out on the bridge, ice bridge, and then make an ice bridge from the other side. Yeah.
What have we found?
That I am a very great fool.
He is not a fool.
I am hours trying to unravel the complex enchantments in each of these devices, and Sev here, paragon of clarity, points out a single point of commonality so mundane I had ignored it.
He's taking this a bit far. Tease him a little.
I'm sorry to have to let you in on the secret, Dom, but it's time you learned the truth about the Cabal.
The what?
It's true. People like Sev and I are here on a secret mission to keep you, and specifically you, humble.
It won't work. Many have tried, but enchanting requires the ego to insist the universe bend to our will. What our keen-eyed friend spotted was a singular mark etched into each device.
A maker's sigil. We used them in Tarza to lay claim to a craft work. They're certified to each maker. And I've always heard we borrowed that practice from the Enclave.
Meaning this mark could be registered in public records.
The Spire is a logical next stop. Nothing comforts the rich and powerful like bureaucracy.
I know just the place.
Yeah, we can do this once more, then it's done. Okay. Well, I think we had one code to do.
The Enclave still has so much to offer. I don't think I'll be wearing it.
Almost makes sense to stay a while.
Certainly.
You know what? We are gonna do it like this. We're gonna try and get that recipe out there, and then go to the spire. I have both. I have the. Oh well. No, actually, let's do this. We go to the spire first. Ba-da-bum, 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 bum, bum.
Empire. Let's see if we can find a registry of Maker's sigils. This looks like some kind of evacuation plan. Doing their research before enacting asylum, I'd wager. Tables with assets listed. Looks like a tabulation of supply levels. Coordination for the runners and horses. They remained in the city for years after the surge, according to its until they enacted asylum, at any rate. Just some birth records. Surprisingly detailed.
Invaluable. We'll have to make sure Lane adds them to our archive later.
Here we go. Sigils. Ah, found it. Our creator is listed here as Lucia de Cruzes. 2 registered workshops, both council approved for dangerous materials. She must have had some pull before the surge. One is here in the city. Wait, that's where I found On the Workings of Archons.
By one L. de Crassus, in fact.
I didn't see much else there. So I'd say we can tick that box. I've been to that frozen town out in Dredge's Lair. Better wear something warm.
I think it's important we run this one down, Bryn. The woodblock is dripping.
thought I did one of the wings. Guess I didn't. No.
Could always use more frost magic.
Running after buddy. Okay, so I think I know how we can do this. Oh, I didn't think about it earlier, but no!
That I've got you.
It's not toggle, Jim, it's hold it. Good damage from playing WoW that long. I have running toggle in that one. Nada. No!
I've
What
got
the?
you.
Okay. But I'm pressing jump. Oh my god, game. It's like pressing damn jump button. I'm gonna try one last time. If I can make something out of this, then we just do it. And we have like 3 more powers we're gonna get, so be something with those then. Hey, what? Why did that one fall off? Again, what the heck? Okay, so he can't hold it up. It's not gonna work. Must be one of the later powers that we get then to get that one. Yeah. Okay, that one done. descend into the polar veil. A freezing BS place. You'd think this would help them. What's that?
That aerolith can influence the weather. Almost certainly why things are frozen over.
Malfunctioning, then.
Indisputably. The ice buildup must be causing a cyclical localized reaction.
Sure. I'll take care of it.
Good idea. Swampy environs and intense cold is bad even for Enclave parchment. Best to lower the risk.
That was it. Wondering why the
There.
markers
Already
didn't
warming
come up.
Hope I didn't damage the priceless artifact too much.
You can't make an omelet, as they say.
A lot of notes here. Water damage from the cold and metals, though. Let's see. Materials. Huh. That's how you visualize a pattern. Lots of marginal notes. These have to be from Lucia. Ah, she mentions the flood in the later passages.
Sev and I will look at these together with her book then. See what we can learn in context. As Aurea says, candle is burning on our flood problem.
Is it done? Here. Okay. Here. Do.
Any luck with the materials we gathered from Lucia's workshops?
Yes. I'll let Sev fill you in.
We started with the book, which was painfully dry and highly theoretical.
Unsurprising. The Enclave was notoriously tight-lipped about the construction of the arcs.
The book was still useful, as it contained a number of craft-specific terms, shorthands and annotations. All critical. Referencing the book clarified the notes.
Without it, they bordered on deranged rant, especially at the end.
Sort of a window into her thinking.
We suspect Lucia spent a long time in isolation while working on these.
She covered many topics, but the most prominent was her work into the Flood.
I mean, remote workshop doesn't seem normal. Ask what's the location.
We know the Hearthsiders spent years working in Denevron after the Surge. Why do we think Lucia ended up so far from the capital?
It's evident she disagreed with the leaders of the Enclave and gathered others around her who agreed. There's talk of several meetings taking place in the Mire, most likely to be away from prying eyes.
Called her group the Verdant Minds. Very planty.
I like it. It's poetic.
Who exactly was Lucia? It seems like she had a lot going on.
Brilliant, but disturbed. She harbored a severe hatred of Enclave leadership, bordering on obsession.
Reams of fiercely colorful text, just to say some very rude things. Especially about the Eye, their leader.
She was also, at one point, one of the most respected enchanters in the Enclave. She worked on something she refused to name, but was clearly of deep significance to the Enclave itself. Called it the source of all our problems.
Sadly, she only danced around that subject, and never offered details.
Yeah, the workshop was frozen over as if to learn anything about the cause.
Her workshop was a little brisk, even for my tastes. Any idea why?
She was fascinated with Enclave technology, specifically the dismantling, disruption, and repurposing of it.
She was experimenting with aeroliths, the massive enchanted stones that control the Enclave's weather. When the effect is accidentally concentrated, it can be quite intense. We suspect she was experimenting with the aerolith in relation to the floods. She predicted their start.
How does it work? Tie back to the devices that were disrupting the orcs.
How do those devices I found with her mark on them tie into all of this?
In her final notes, her obsession shifted from the Enclave's leadership to the miasma flood. She was determined to find a way to stop it. On one hand, she looked to the aeroliths as a mitigation. Could they repel the miasma?
In the end, her answer was no. And so she turned to disruption. We think the arcs were tests. Could she shut them down?
And if so, could she shut down something larger?
She was clearly successful at least once. Maybe twice if we count the one outside the Veil.
Indeed, and when we're doing more general questions, that is what we must talk about.
Yep, that's all context I need. Talk about the flood.
All intriguing information. But we should focus on the flood. Does she have an answer for us?
Partially. This is the design.
Her research led her to one conclusion: to stop the floods. She needed to disrupt a barrier of some sort.
This confirms our theory from earlier. She's talking about the barrier established by Asylum.
Her design is detailed and specific. The device it would create inverts the flow of magic in enchanted objects, disrupting them for a time.
We think the devices we found on the Arks were prototypes, small experiments to determine efficacy and duration.
So what's the catch? If the floods are still happening, clearly she didn't build one.
Lucia's thimble, as she calls it, requires some highly specialized components. It has to withstand considerable magical flow, far more than what's produced by an arc.
It's like how mass scales exponentially. Just because you can build a scale model of an aqueduct doesn't mean the real thing can support its own weight.
Thankfully, that supply cache you found has the necessary materials to handle that kind of magical flow.
Solar can pick up where Lucia left off then.
Exactly. The other thing we'll need is a source of magical flame. Solar's mantle won't be enough by itself.
I can handle that part easily. Okay, so we have clear next steps. Just one more thing. What happened to Lucia?
The flood. Our best guess, at any rate. There's no sign of her.
All right. Let's go over everything we know so far.
We know that, for a time after the surge, civilians continued to live in Tenebron until they were forced to evacuate the city. We're still not sure the cause.
Wherever the Hearthsiders went, they're still actively sending scouting groups to scavenge for supplies. From the uniform, The creeper who was watching Bryn sleep belongs to one of these groups.
We also know that a defensive procedure codenamed Asylum sealed access to the Enclave underground. This was done using a barrier almost exactly like the Veil.
Lucia, an ex-high enchantress, opposed Asylum and began working on ways to sabotage it.
Her research forecasted that the barrier would cause the Enclave to flood with miasma. The very same flood that seems to have killed Lucia before she was able to finish her thimble.
But we have her design. It could disrupt Asylum's barrier.
So Lucia's thimble is the key to our survival.
It's less a key and more like a magical battering ram.
Whatever works.
What is it, Lane?
It's just... I've pored over all the documents we've compiled, and a concrete link between the evacuation plan and the underground is nowhere to be found. I can't shake the feeling we're missing something.
There was an information plaque. I wonder if that's what it is missing.
The Enclave destroyed a lot of information from their documents. Could that be why you can't find a link between Asylum and the evacuation?
I considered that. The Enclave may have hidden their location from Lucia.
Being a weaver isn't about being certain all the time. It's about taking calculated risks to carve a path forward. And regardless of the Hearthsider's location, disrupting the barrier is the only option to stop the flood.
You're right. I just hope that if we did miss something, it doesn't come back to bite us.
Even if it does, we will handle it.
That settles it. Bryn, it's time to use the thimble.
Oh, good thing we had it.
Thank you for your help with that, Bryn. You've a deft hand for flame magic. You can wear Sev's apprentice hat for one day. Also, Lucia knew what she was doing. This thimble was clearly designed to pair seamlessly with Enclave constructions.
Must be her experience as a high enchantress at work.
Based on Lucia's notes and what we discovered at the Bastion, this was custom designed to disrupt Asylum's barrier.
If it can stop the flood, we need to use it soon.
Agreed. We don't know how much time we have left.
Yeah, the disabling Asylum barrier.
Dranks need more feathers.
We are down here then. Let's see if we can upgrade maybe. Maybe we need to get to the next part. Travel.
That console that looks like our scry should be the controls for the barrier. The thimble was built to interface with it.
Time to just...
Shove it in. Oh. He has did a bad thing.
Great timing. I owe you one.
You need to come with me.
Pebble of Mighty Enchant.
We mustn't cause a panic.
Sure. It's not like we had a dire supply shortage on our hands before this happened.
What do I tell the High Enchanter? The Guild will want...
Enough. We won't discuss this further. Not in front of our guests. Identify yourselves.
Aurea Harpene, or Silverbeak, as I'm known among Weaver circles. This is my band, and beside me is our acting point.
Bryn. And you are?
Khan Stunild, Eye of the Enclave. My colleagues are the Spindle and the Axle, representatives of the Enchanting and Crafting Guilds. Who sent you?
Sent us?
Taza? Renland? Udea? The Enclave is the envy of the Maida for its magical prowess. Clearly one of those nations has finally grown a spine and decided to take it for themselves in our moment of weakness.
Moment.
No one sent us. We came here by accident.
What kind of fool do you take me for? You expect me to believe that you bypassed our veil, infiltrated our loom gates, and breached asylum without a national power backing you?
When you put it that way.
This is a misunderstanding. We're Weavers, like you. There was a brief opportunity to enter the Enclave for the first time in decades, and we took it. Everything we've done since we arrived has been to uncover what happened here after the Surge, and to find you.
If that is true, have you really no inkling of the trouble you've caused?
No.
Your reckless conduct has unleashed an enemy that nearly destroyed us 27 years ago.
The Surgeborn. They first appeared a little over a decade after the Veil went up.
Where did they come from?
No one knows. But they arrived in the Underworks before making their way to the surface.
Where they left a trail of destruction in their wake and wreaked havoc on the Enclave.
Causing casualties to rise.
And so I called for a retreat here, saving countless lives. We sealed the Surgeborn in the Underworks for good. Until now.
Well, you knew we were here when why the Heart started to intervene sooner.
We've been here a little while now. Don't you think all of this could have been avoided if you'd properly said hello?
She's right.
This is hardly our fault.
Look, Surgeborn or not, we had no choice but to remove the barrier. Though I suppose we owe you thanks for warning us about the floods.
Who warned you?
You did.
Did we? I'll deal with you later.
While we can agree Arakim breached no contact protocol, it has proven to be the right decision. The floods were growing worse, and now they have stopped, even if fixing them has introduced a new problem.
One my band would be more than happy to help you solve.
Ha! Work together.
Sorry to interrupt, but you mentioned your last name earlier. Any relation to Shireen Harpene?
She was my mother. You know who she is?
Of course! I mean, before my time, obviously, but she's still renowned in the Enchanting Guild. Her work is remarkable. There's a statue of her in Denevron, you know?
Oh. I can't believe she didn't mention that.
We did find it, hello.
There is so much I'd love to ask you, but for now, Oria comes from a long bloodline of outstanding and renowned weavers. Shouldn't that buy her band some grace?
All right. Your presence in the outskirts will be tolerated. Nothing more.
What about the Surgeborn?
What about them?
Shouldn't we work together to deal with them?
We could use the help.
The Surgeborn are a problem for anyone in the outskirts, not us. Cassidon's Hold is a fortress.
The scouts do head into the outskirts to scavenge for supplies.
We'll take our own precautions. Speaking of, we have pressing matters to attend to.
But
Enough! My word is final.
Bryn, the one that led us here is clearly the one that warned us. Try to talk to him before we leave. Maybe he's willing to work with us.
Will do.
Okay, now we are in a different place. Let's activate this one. Hum of activity. Oh yeah. That's a kept destroying thing.
Never make out Stanley's writing.
Hey, Arakim, was it?
oh, just call me Arik.
Well, Arik, I never got a chance to thank you. You know, for grabbing me before I fell to my death.
I think you had it. Besides, I couldn't let you plummet into a chasm. The Eye is pretty peeved with me, but hey, that's just a bonus.
He doesn't seem fond of Constantinople. That's about the dynamic.
You and the Eye don't seem to get along very well.
What gave it away? The mutual contempt. The Eye doesn't like anyone who shows initiative or challenges him. Unfortunately, those are my main qualities. And I suspect he perceives them in you, too.
Yeah, I didn't get the impression he's my biggest fan. Will you be in trouble for saving us?
I'd worry if he ever decided to get off his throne and do something about it. But he finds that throne very comfortable.
It almost sounds like he's happy. I wonder if he's pleased about our arrival.
So, are you glad we're here?
I'm thrilled you're here.
I have to say, I'm surprised.
Oh, yeah. Sorry for all that cloak and dagger stuff earlier. Khan Stanild had me on strict orders not to make contact with your Weaver band. But it was the right call. From what I just saw, your presence here is having an impact.
How so?
Notice how the Axel took my side against the Eye earlier. That never happens. And the Spindle is as quiet as a mouse most of the time, but not today.
Aha. So these are big changes.
It might not sound like much, but they're excited you're here. Stanild can tell too.
That's why he backed down so easily. And that's why I'm glad you're here.
Doesn't seem angry at us about the Surgeborn being released. That's why.
So you're not upset that I breached Asylum, like your colleagues?
I've been pushing to do something about the Surgeborn for years now. Setting them free wasn't great, but sealing them in the underworks indefinitely was never a good solution. Frankly, I think Khan Stanhild is just annoyed you undid his one claim to fame. I guarantee he has no plans to do anything about the Surgeborn now that they're free.
You don't think he sees them as a threat?
He's got his head in the sand about a lot of things.
This is a warm response. I know what he wants to know about me.
You seem awfully trusting of us, considering the terrible first impression we've made.
Well, I was spying on you the first time we met, so let's call it even.
Sure. Maybe you know everything already then, but have you got any questions for me?
Just one. Why are you here?
What needs the Enclave? Tell me how to bring down the Veil.
Decades of war across the Maida followed after the Surge. Magic and Weavers were blamed for all of it. Without the Enclave as a stabilizing force, it's as if the world outside has splintered into factions, divided by chaos and fear. Not to mention the lands surrounding the Veil are completely shrouded in tangles. I'm here to bring down the Veil, and play a small part in restoring the Maida Basin to what it was before the Surge.
Wow, that's a big picture vision if I ever heard one. If that's truly what you want, then dealing with the Surgeborn is the first step. Ever since the Veil went up, our people have been in crisis. They've spent so long in it, they're afraid to do what it takes to get out. It doesn't help that some have benefited off that same crisis.
Who?
Who always benefits? The very top. Our leaders are too preoccupied with their own concerns to form a unified front against the Surgeborn.
Such as?
The Spindle is obsessed with getting the Arcs functional again. She believes that will help us regain control. And the Axle is too stressed about our supply shortage right now. But if their concerns were handled, they could pressure the Eye to finally address the Surgeborn.
That sounds like an opportunity. And are you a representative yourself? Do you have sway?
Representative, yes. Sway? No. I represent the Scouts, meaning I'm at the meetings, but I don't have the title to back me up. The Scouts were once points like you, but our role has changed since the Veil went up. We were effectively drafted into scavenging for food and supplies. It made sense following the Surge, but it's been years. Recently, we've even been separated from Cassidon's hold and the remaining civilians. Anyway, it's the guild leaders who will need to pressure Khan Stanhild into dealing with the Surgeborn. Which is what needs to happen before we can even think about tackling the Veil.
Sounds like I've got some palms to grease.
Yuck. But yes, I'll come by your camp later. We'll be able to speak more freely there.
What is that about?
The Eye isn't one for idle chit-chat. That's worth watching.
Talk to you back at our camp.
You got it.
Sev, you all right?
No. I mean, yes. I'm fine.
You sure?
Rin, the rest of us are heading out. See you back at camp.
I got to go.
Okay. So you're gonna have to do two quests here before progressing, it seems like.
Excuse me, but Arakim mentioned you're the Spindle, a leading representative for the High Arcanists.
Oh, Yes, that's correct.
We wanted to formally introduce ourselves. I'm Aurea, as you know. This is Dom, our enchanter, and Bryn, our acting point.
We didn't catch your name earlier. Khan?
Just call me Isla. Is there something I can help you with?
We'd actually like to help you. Apparently you want to restore the arcs.
Shh! Not so loud. Sorry, that sounds wonderful, but the Eye won't be happy about us collaborating.
She's nowhere to be seen speaking to us. Reassure her.
Listen, we can be more discreet. We're not here to cause trouble. We only want to help.
I appreciate that. And you're right. I do want to fix the arcs. More than anything. I just need you to be quiet about it.
Okay. We'll try, but forgive us if our excitement bubbles over and we forget.
It's Dom. He's the one that might forget.
We know that the arcs began malfunctioning after the surge. A select few were even sabotaged. Any idea on what caused the other malfunctions?
Some theories, but nothing solid. Anyone who knew how to create arcs, let alone fix them, died before I was born. I've tinkered with an inactive arc that's lying near the Grand Gate, but it would make a world of difference if I could study a resonance that was freshly harvested from a great arc's pattern.
Consider it done.
Bryn's got you covered. She has a knack for harvesting great archons.
You'll have it in no time.
If you're sure, I certainly would appreciate it. With discretion, of course.
Right.
We've been talking a while. You'd better go.
Axel?
I am simply telling you, as the foremost leader of the Enclave, that I don't want you getting distracted.
Can you clarify what you mean by that?
You know exactly what I mean. Eyes down, know your place. Focus on your own problems. Organize your little craftspeople. Keep the wheels of civilized society greased. And don't dare to presume you know better than me.
If you have a problem with my performance, you are welcome to gather feedback from the people who elected me. They may have a clearer understanding of what I bring to the table.
We'll continue this conversation later.
Hirun, Khan Atme. Allow me to formally introduce you to Bryn, the Weaver Band's point.
You're the Axel, right? Arakim says you're a good person to know.
I am. My given name is Hirun, as Arakim said, but you may refer to me as Khan Atme. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, despite the circumstances. And I wish they were better circumstances. The new Surgeborn threat requires us to realign our priorities. Some are a little slower on that than others.
If there's anything we can do to move things along, I'm at your disposal.
What about the supply shortage? I've seen her in combat. She's better than any of us.
What's her help look like? I'd prefer if she could avoid unleashing another apocalypse on us.
You have an amazing quartermaster for an introduction.
We didn't bring a lot with us, but if there's anything we can provide to you, our quartermaster, Kasmin, will be happy to help. A decade working the maiden shipping lanes turned her hard as Khan steel.
She sounds lovely. But unfortunately, we're supplying 10,000 people, not 7 weavers and their pack beast. And I doubt you'd have enough on your caravan to make much of a difference. Fortunately, there's a silver lining to your Surgeborn mess that could solve the problem.
Count me in.
Right. With the Surgeborn unleashed, we're anticipating casualties and damage to our facilities. However, there's a restricted area in the underworks that we lost access to decades ago when the Eye sealed it. The Institute. An arcane laboratory where the Enclave conducted its enchantment research, among other projects. Inside the Institute lies a significant supply cache. Its contents will be enough to keep us going, for the time being. If the notes the previous Axel left me are accurate, though, there's an additional complication.
Of course.
The Surgeborn secure territory by building structures, akin to insect hives. The Institute is likely overrun with them, and has been for 20-odd years.
So, the Surgeborn are a long-standing threat to the Enclave.
I wish I were old enough to remember what it was like to live without the fear of the Surgeborn. As a child, I sat awake every night worrying about them. They were terrifying. Knowing what I know now, I should have been even more scared.
I'm sorry you went through that. It must have been horrible.
Thank you.
All the more reason to actually do something about the problem, instead of spending our lives cowering behind the walls of our glorious fortress.
You'll hear no disagreement from me, now that the game board has been upended.
Sounds like I need to clear any Surgeborn hives from the Institute, then.
That'll thin them out enough that my scouts will be able to access the supply cache without much trouble.
Now that Asylum is lifted, we should be able to access the loom gates in the Institute again. I'm going to trust you with this key swatch. It's been gathering dust for over 25 years.
Only the Eye would let such a crucial resource sit there for that long.
Yes. If we're clear on everything, I'll get back to work. My list of obligations grows by the minute. Someone has to keep this goddamn fortress running.
Okay, so we lose Fred. Harvest any great oak for a fresh Archon resonance. Okay. Wood for the trees.
Let's talk in your camp. I can speak freely there.
Let's see if he has anything to say.
So, you.
Me?
The one causing trouble. The one poking into corners. The one who hasn't the good sense to leave well enough alone.
Had you allowed Arakim to reach out to us sooner, this could have been avoided.
Arakim has a proven record of poor judgment on matters of protocol. I will not be lectured by the person who put us all at risk on how best to handle our security. But I'm being impolite. Let us start afresh, shall we? Please, share what you hope to accomplish by loitering around the hold.
Will be a surprise should someone want to help.
Before we met, it was clear from my exploration of Denevron that you have sourcing issues. Your lack of production capacity was obvious. We can help with your shortages.
A caravan of 7 is going to supply a fortress of thousands. What's next? You'll turn water into Sansa mead? Though you are correct, sourcing has been a consistent problem since even before we abandoned the capital. We have hundreds of trained scouts, but wooden swords and paper shields are hardly going to mount an offensive. So despite certain assertions that we must do something, we lack the tools with which to make any great strides.
Like it or not, I'm here to help.
The Enclave stands on a blade's edge. Stretch our resources too thin on risky ventures and we face collapse. Certain elements of our population call for action, for bold purpose. And I ask you, What purpose is bolder than survival?
Well,
Purely rhetorical. We must survive, and we must make considered, careful moves if we are to do so.
God damn it.
There is no sacrifice too great towards that goal. You, at least, understand the precarity of our situation. Now understand the necessity of our caution.
I do, but...
Thank you for your time. You may go.
But...
You may go.
He's such a douchebag. Can I just kill him? Yeah, like somebody else. Institute. Okay, we need to... Okay, what do we have here? What was any great arc? We need to talk to Sola, so let's talk to... Let's see here. Let's talk to Sola first. Then we're gonna go and kill one of the arcs. Oh, with everybody, looks like.
Hey, you alright?
Yes. There's something I should have told you, so I'll just come out and say it. I was born in the Enclave.
How is that possible?
Oh, luck or tragedy, depending on your perspective. Before I was born, my mother and father lived here happily for several years. But they decided it would be better if my mother raised me with my grandmother and great aunts for the first few months of my life. So she left with me when I was just a hatchling, with every intention to return.
But the surge happened.
The life I should have had was lost for good. Because of all this, I never knew my father. I don't even know his name.
Oberyn tend to have close-knit families. Ask about her mother's decision to leave.
Is it common for Oberyn hatchlings to be raised apart from their fathers?
No, but it is common for extended family to be involved in the raising of children. As you know, I come from a long line of weavers, many of whom traveled in caravans their entire lives. It was apparently quite a shock when my mother fell for a Hearthsider.
So your parents were looking for a compromise when it came to raising you?
Exactly. And I wouldn't trade my childhood on the road. My great-aunts and my grandmother made me who I am, after all.
Still, you missed out on your father. It's natural to wonder about him.
I suppose.
So the Aurea wasn't told her father's name, dig deeper.
Isn't it a little strange your mother never told you his name?
She was separated from him so suddenly. She had no chance to say goodbye. My mother's a strong woman, but whenever I asked about him as a child, she could only manage a few words before her face would crumble. She found it too painful to discuss, and I never wanted to pry.
But now?
I can't help but wish I knew who he was.
Enclave always been significant to Aurea. I wonder if it's because of her family.
Does your family have something to do with your attachment to the Enclave?
Being here has meant a lot in some ways, and in others, it's very different from what I expected. Meeting the Hearthsiders was a lifelong dream, but the circumstances of our encounter, not what I'd envisioned.
Knowing now that this is your birthplace, I can see why that would be disheartening.
This was meant to be my home, after all.
This news is a lot to take in, that's why she didn't tell me soon.
This is definitely a twist. I feel like you could have told me sooner.
I am sorry for that. You need to be able to trust me.
So why hide it?
Talking about difficult and private matters is not my strong suit. And frankly, I rarely see the point in dwelling on the past.
I guess you and your mother have that in common.
You might be right.
And she must be curious about her father's identity, offered to help.
So, we're going to find out who your father was.
You would help me?
Of course. Maybe Lane would have some ideas on where to start.
Actually, I had an idea myself. The spindle mentioned a statue of my mother. It's clear the Enclave commemorated their champions. I can't shake this feeling my father is among them.
You think there's a statue of your father?
I know it sounds strange, but the handful of times that my mother spoke of him, she described him as this great hero. Since she was one herself, is it so crazy to think she might have meant that literally?
Maybe not. I can scope out the statues in Upper Denevron for a resemblance, if that's what you want.
Good. And thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Up here? Nope. Probably further.
Bryn, I'm glad you're here. I need to talk to you.
What's going on? You look pretty tired.
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just about those 90 Drake scales. I know Arya said we don't need them, but she just doesn't understand. It's dangerous out here, you know? Especially now that these Surgeborn are loose. We need to be prepared for anything. It's just gnawing in the back of my head. Do you think you could do it?
You know what I said about her looking tired? I wonder if she slept recently.
Seriously, when's the last time you slept?
Kashar don't need as much sleep as Ashar or Cassel.
But you need some sleep.
It's been a while. Maybe 10 days. Or a week. I'm fine.
Yeah, isn't that what the Drake scales are for? Ask again.
You haven't told me why we need them. Or better yet, why we need 90.
We want the best gear and weapons, don't we?
So Sola asked for these?
Not exactly. But they have other uses too.
I'm guessing Aura doesn't know about this request. That's why she needs to go behind her back.
I'm guessing Aurea doesn't know you want me to go Drake hunting. Do you really think it's a good idea for us to go behind her back?
It looks bad, but she just doesn't see what I'm seeing.
To be honest, I'm not sure I see it either.
Please, just trust me.
To help a fight Drake scales on to answer, tell her this isn't making sense.
Kaz, you need to tell me what's really going on here. I want to help, but the Drake scales? The Weaver Band is okay. More than okay. We're in the best shape we've been in since we entered the Enclave, now that we've made contact with the Heartsiders. Besides, the caravan is looking pretty full. It's not making sense.
You think I'm insane?
No, of course not.
Just slightly insane.
Era's breath. I shouldn't have brought this up. Ugh. But you just don't understand. Everyone could die if I don't... It would be my fault.
Whatever this is, please just tell me what's going on.
No. I shouldn't have burdened you. Sorry, just go.
But Kaz...
I can't talk about this anymore.
Caspin is not okay. And I don't think bringing her more stuff is the answer. I'd better talk to Aurea. Hey, Aurea. About Casmin.
I know. I'm worried too. So is the rest of the band. Let's talk at the archive, privately. I'll join you and Lane in a moment.
All right.
Yeah, let's see what she needs. Wood for the trees.
And then, Sev and I realized we might be able to repurpose the carapace for more than just loom gates.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Purely theoretical right now, but I'm contemplating tangle-resistant gear, or even a protective layer around the caravan.
Dom, I'm a little busy trying to look over these Tarmakine schematics again. Do you mind coming back later?
Oh, okay. You're right. We can discuss theoretical magic anytime. I'll leave you to your work.
Oh. Hey, Bryn.
Everything all right? Things between you and Dom seem off lately.
Yeah, a bit. I'm not sure he understands what my work on the Tarmakine smithing techniques means to me.
Have you told him how you're feeling?
It feels like he's so wrapped up in his own discoveries that he's not hearing me.
He is easily distracted, but maybe you should try again. If there's one thing I know about Dom, it's that he loves you. He must care about your feelings.
Then why isn't he asking about them? Sorry, this isn't on you. I'm just frustrated. I need to do more than just tell him what Tarmakind means to me.
How so?
I need to show him. By investigating Tarmakind practices, maybe I can make some headway on restoring these techniques. Then,
Hey, I'm always down to investigate lost knowledge, especially in the name of love.
you'll help me?
Of course.
Amazing. I'll ask the Axel if she knows anything about Tarmakind smithing in the Enclave.
Great idea. I'll meet you at Cassidon's Hold.
I'm gonna do it like this actually. It's mental. Need a double. Oh, come on, I'm missing one selenite. Oh. Okay. Let's talk to Arakim.
How are you settling in, Eric? Things going well?
Good. Yeah, they're fine.
Just good?
No, not really. Something's going on at the hold, and it's making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. The Eye publicly scorched you for opening up Asylum, and yet I've heard him telling the Spindle that this could be a good thing. Meanwhile, the runners are stretched paper thin keeping supplies moving, which, of course, leaves my people no time to deal with actual threats.
Sounds like you could use some help. What's the problem?
Really? Dancing winds, where to start? No, wait, I know. The Spitfires. A particularly aggressive group seems set on spreading through Denevron. In particular, they're building nests in some areas I was hoping to use as training grounds, but we had to pull out due to the risk.
Would the areas be safe if I took care of the nests?
Yes, though the nests are very durable. They will turn brittle if you get them cold enough.
Consider it done. Anything else?
Maybe an odd request. Could you ask Oreo if I could power the scry while you're tackling them?
Why not ask her yourself?
I feel like I have a lot to learn from Oreo and how she works with you. And it's strangely intimidating to admit that to her directly.
She is a force of nature. I get it. I'll ask. Hi, Aurea. I am here on behalf of Arakim.
That's weirdly formal. Everything all right?
He finds you intimidating. Personally, I don't see it, but I thought I'd be extra polite for his sake.
He does. Good. What does he want?
He's wondering if he could power the scry while I run an errand for him. He's hoping you'll give him tips.
Happily. But feel free to tell him I was a bit scary, to keep him on his toes.
Good news.
Play this straight. Tell him Moria was happy to do it.
Ori is absolutely willing to give you pointers on the scry. She joked I should play up her scary side, but honestly, she's an incredible mentor. You'll be fine.
I've coordinated lots of operations from Cassidy's hold, but I never had much formal training. More self-taught. A chance to learn from someone with decades of experience is an incredible opportunity. I'll be there with you then, when you get close to the nests. They're in the Bastion's yard and Envoy's Landing in Upper Denevron.
Okay, Leon. All this compiling. And drowning.
It's safe to say Casmin hasn't been acting like herself. She's always been tightly wound, but this is something else.
Bryn, she seems more open with you than most. Can you describe in detail what's abnormal about her behavior?
She's begging me for more supplies, even though the caravan is chock full.
Not that we could tell because she's covered it up.
More than that, she just seems distressed. She's always talking about worst-case scenarios, and lately it's like she's convinced we're all going to die.
I have heard rumors of abnormal behavior developing in Kashar that could be linked to this.
What kind of rumors?
In polytheistic beliefs that are pervasive in the southern part of the Maida, there is an affliction known as Ira's Plague. The sufferer is haunted by twisted visions of death and pain. The goddess of justice, Ira, won't allow the sufferer inner peace until they repent through scrupulosity.
Scrupulosity? That's not a definition.
Scrupulosity. What is that exactly?
Oh, my apologies. I forget most people don't follow UD in eschatological study. Scrupulosity can be best described as a series of repetitive acts that one is compelled to do. For example, if Casmin is plagued by relentless images of our band dying from exposure,
she might send our point out over and over again to retrieve supplies.
Yes, in order to dispel the horrific visions.
Then it's pretty logical to ask if they are suggesting Casmin is cursed.
Are you seriously suggesting Casmin is... what? Possessed?
Of course not. I'm confident that this is merely a stigmatized phenomenon that could not be explained through facts or science. So the populace explained it through religious folly instead.
Any ideas what facts could explain it?
Not yet.
Didn't know Casmin was religious. Wonder if that's why she's hiding things from us.
I didn't realize Casmin was spiritual. Is she really trying to hide these visions from us?
Though not devout herself, Casmin grew up with a strict Ashar mother.
You're right, she did.
It's possible Casmin's affliction was a point of shame or contention between them. Perhaps she fears rejection if she shares her experience with us.
When I mentioned rumors about Kashar earlier, asked him to elaborate.
Kashar? What does Ira's plague have to do with them?
While most see Kashar as a celebrated merging of the two cultures, some fringe sects disagree. They believe the wider lineage simply leads to more ancestral sin that must be atoned. and thus only Kashar can be afflicted.
Really? Where do you land?
The concept of impure lineage is clearly hogwash, but I suspect the affliction could somehow correlate to the Kashar's unique physiology.
Question note, we need to help Cass. Move on to the next steps.
All right. Casmin is suffering. We need to do something about it.
And preemptively? No exorcisms?
As I said, this is likely nothing more than a condition that has been stigmatized by religion. A scientific explanation must exist, and thankfully, we are in the heart of progressive thinking.
You think the Enclave could have done research on this?
Makes sense. Where should I start looking?
The steps in the upper city is where I'd start. Between the main building of the spire and the atrium used to stand a school for alchemists. From your explorations, the surge hit that area pretty hard, but some of the building may still be standing.
Great. What am I looking for?
Maybe the name of someone who suffered like Casmin, or a healer who treated the condition. If you find someone like that, you'll want to search the areas of the city where they spent time. Ira's plague is wildly misunderstood across the Maida. If we could find a treatment, it could help more than Casmin.
You're right. I'll start with the steps, then expand my search.
Oh, lovely. We have a lot to do in the upper and all those areas now then. Okay, let's see.
When's the last time anyone saw her sleep?
Let's see if we can maybe forge. Really? God damn it. Let's see where we will end up at. Right now we got so many different things to do. All these. Emerald's Landing and the Yard in the Bastion. So that's in 2 areas beside upper. That's in the steps in upper. This is also extending the statues in upper. Okay, let's go and talk with Axe. So, wood for the trees.
Bryn, you brought your talented smith. To what do I owe the pleasure?
I was wondering if you might have any information on Tarmakine's smithing practices within the Enclave.
I'm not well versed in Tarmakind myself, but I recall one smith who hoped to make the techniques more widespread prior to the surge. You could try searching the guild district in Hydenevron for a registry.
Sola is actually hoping to restore the lost art herself. Anything else I could look for that might help her?
The Smithing Guild also had an extensive library. You might find a tome on Tarmakine that could be useful while you're there.
Thank you so much.
I admire your ambition. What you're hoping to achieve is no small feat.
If anyone can do it, it's Sola.
I don't know about that.
I can believe it. Good luck in your endeavors.
Yep, let's start this one. Yeah, and we can take down this arc. Question though, do I need to take it down with the strand or not?
Aria thinks her father